Welcome to the Scam Economy with your host, Matt Bender.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Scam Economy. Or honestly, this episode could have started with the Today on Doomed voice, because it's another crossover Scam Economy Doomed episode. And simply because I didn't know where to put this one, honestly. This episode really combines the best, or should I say worst, of both worlds. The worlds I cover on Scam Economy and Doomed. And I guess this is probably not the best way to start an episode with a summary that basically wraps it all up. But I think in this case it's enough that'll make you want to stick around and be like, you know what? I actually want to hear a little bit more, because that's wild. And so here is that summary. So basically, this week, the first week of June 2024, the DOJ charged the chief financial officer of the right-wing Falun Gong cult-connected news media outlet, the Epoch Times, in a vast conspiracy of fraud and other criminal activity, which in total raised at least $67 million for the right-wing news outlet and the Epoch Times CFO himself as well. This fraud may not be surprising, being that I started with the Scam Economy intro. The fraud involved cryptocurrency and using cryptocurrency to make fraudulent transactions, and in addition, make them via a, as of now, unnamed cryptocurrency exchange. And furthermore, use crypto to launder the funds as well in order to hide where this was all from. And you know what? There is an aspect here that will make you want to stick around for more. Because, and I'll keep this for the end. And I should say, a lot of this is coming out. So if you're here, it's still coming out. A lot of details we still don't know. This is all from this 12-page DOJ, the charges and everything that just came out this week. But one of the ways in which this Epoch Times executive, his whole fraud, and I should say also here that while he is the only one charged, it's pretty clear, and it wouldn't surprise me if there were more charges as investigations continue or as this particular case goes on, because this was very obviously deeply embedded within the company itself, even though this is just, as of right now, the one guy has been charged. But this is the big kicker that you'll get at the end. One of the main ways in which his scheme unraveled and got him in trouble is pretty funny. It's pretty funny. And is of his own doing. Not surprisingly. But stick around. It's not gonna be a long episode. Obviously, I'll go after after it's over. They'll be on a separate feed for podcasters. I will be doing call-ins and things like that. And stick around on the live stream if you're watching live. But before we dive in to this episode, let's remind people that this entertaining show and all the other podcast episodes and live streams and videos and everything I do, from Doom to Scam Economy and beyond, is basically made possible by our patrons. I mean, it's no other way, there's no other way to put it. I was trying to think of a I don't know, a fancier way to say it, but that's it right there. So if you can afford to become a paying subscriber to this show, and if you'd like to do so, go to patreon.com/MattBinder. It's this episode is out early this month. That's when, we lose some subscribers, because that's just when the membership charges go through. And so now is a good time to join if you can. Let me thank Tim T, our latest Patreon subscriber, just joined 2 days ago. Thank you so much, Tim T. And of course, just over the past few weeks, Patreon subscribers who've supported the show: Lucy G, Leftist Cajun, Cola Addict, Jacob D, Phantom 7K, Lux, Andrew S, and NC Sketchy. Thank you so much, all of you, for making this show possible. And as always, you can go to youtube.com/MattBinder, subscribe to the channel for the live stream version of the show, and you can drop super chats there to give one-off donations, and I'll read those and answer your questions and comments during the call-in section of the show. And twitch.tv/MattBinder, where if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you can connect your Amazon account to your Twitch account, and Amazon gives you a free Twitch subscription each month that you can use. If you don't use it, Amazon pockets your money, and if you do use it, it costs you nothing extra. You force Amazon to give a couple bucks to your favorite creator, so definitely use it. And with all that said, and of course, doomedcast.com for Doomed, scameconomy.com for Scam Economy. And with all that said, let's dive right into this incredible episode. So let me pull up the document, and I have some notes here as well. I saw this, and the first thing a little background here. If you don't know about the Epoch Times, so basically, the Epoch Times is a news outlet, a news media outlet. I am generously putting the word news there, but it is a media outlet that over the past couple of years have drifted further and further right. I mean, they are a full-fledged far right. I mean, it's connected to a Chinese cult, religious cult called Falun Gong. And now this group is persecuted in China. And so a lot of its members come here. I do not think that people should be persecuted for their beliefs in any country. At the same time, and I say this not giving a pass to how what China does, but at the same time, this is a dangerous cult. Thousands of its believers over the decades it's been around have died due to their beliefs via suicide and other things. It is a cult. They are very much against the Chinese government, which makes sense. Because the Chinese government is Chinese Communist Party, the CCP. They are extremely, CCPs are not really communist. It's an authoritarian government. But because of that connection, and in the U.S., usually the Republicans and the right wing, fear mongering over the CCP because of the word communist, and they love to use China as sort of their foreign adversary. Falun Gong has found brothers in arms with the right wing here in the U.S. And via the Epoch Times, they basically used their outlet to promote Donald Trump and far right-wing conspiracy theories They were one of the major pushers of the 2020 presidential election conspiracies, up until December, maybe even beyond that, but for way longer than the election was decided that night. And I know that it was like a day, if I recall. This is now almost 4 years ago, where like it seemed it was pretty clear Biden won, but it was only made absolutely official like a day or two later or something like that. Epoch Times went well beyond that for months, and regular headlines about how it is unknown who's won the U.S. election. They would have like updates breaking down the states that they claimed were still out and hadn't decided yet, like Pennsylvania, which was decided, or Arizona. It was they were a major pusher of this. And you might have come across them because since this further right-wing turn over the past, I would say 4 to 5 years, give or take, probably around 5 years, like 2019-ish, maybe even before that, during, Trump's ascension to the presidency in like 2015, 2016, but it really ramped up, headed towards the 2020 election. But Epoch Times grew their online footprint. You've probably, if you spend any time on Facebook, you've probably come across them. I come across them a lot. They on Elon Musk's X, formerly Twitter. Basically one of their, and this is probably one of their methods to sort of obviously make money, but also as a side thing, use this to cover where their money was really coming from. But on X, I can constantly come across secondary Epoch Times connected accounts. Like they have their main account, Epoch Times, but I consistently come across very specific Epoch Times category accounts, like Epoch Times this isn't real account names, but like giving you an example of like the different niches these specific accounts fall under. Like, it's the main Epoch Times account, but then there's like an Epoch Times positivity account, Epoch Times family account, Epoch Times animal account. And basically these accounts all have like the blue check mark, or some of them even have that gold check mark, which costs like $1,000 a month. But they consistently post in the replies to other accounts videos in order to pump up their advertising revenue. Like they will completely unsolicited and unaffiliated and unrelated to the actual main poster's content, like the original poster's content. Like someone will post a viral tweet and they will jump in the replies with one of those side niche accounts with a video in order to pump up their ad revenue. This video has nothing to do with the original post. It's just something I've noticed over the years, and through my coverage of Twitter, I know that that's what these monetized accounts on X do ever since Elon Musk rolled this creator monetization scheme out. So, that's what they do, to give you an example. But on Facebook, their stuff actually does go pretty viral at times, with often a lot of like apolitical stuff. Like they really ramp that up in order to sort of funnel people down the rabbit hole. Definitely more so than any other right-wing account. This is them trying to take advantage of viral internet content in order to push their agenda. And so that's a little background on them. Falun Gong, I not to dwell too far into them, but we'll probably do a Doomed episode diving into that, because that really is that wheelhouse, and that deserves a full episode on its own. You might, if you're not familiar with them through the Epoch Times, you might know them through the Chinese live dance show that is constantly advertised everywhere. Billboards, commercials, Shen Yun. That is Falun Gong connected, yes. So with that said, let's now, as I've given you this background of Epoch Times, let's jump into what just happened. So when I saw this, actually, I immediately thought of an NBC News piece by Brandy Zadrozny, great reporter on the far right and disinformation over at NBC News. But when did she write this? So last year, late last year, not even a whole year ago, she did a deep dive into the Epoch Times and how they blew up over the past couple of years. She went through their content. I already mentioned the election, the conspiratorial election stuff from 2020. Also, they had really dived into the COVID conspiracy theories. Obviously, it's in order to blame, in order to obviously further ingratiate themselves with the right wing here, but also in order to blame the Chinese government and the CCP for COVID. And also in this, I should say that they were banned from advertising on Facebook in 2019 because Meta said that they had the Epoch Times had leveraged. This is a quote from Facebook: leveraged foreign actors posing as Americans to push political content, and as a result, Facebook banned Epoch Times from advertising on the platform. So with that said, in this article, I immediately thought of how Brandy couldn't figure out exactly where their money was coming from. And she did this is a great report people should read. It's called How the Conspiracy Fueled Epoch Times Went Mainstream and Made Millions. And, she made it sort of clear in the piece that, it seems like things weren't quite adding up, but this is what they were doing to grow online, and maybe it's connected to that. In 2019, for example, the Epoch Times reported $7 million in subscription revenue. But in 2021, they reported $76 million in subscription revenue. That's a huge jump. In addition, in 2020, Epoch Times all of a sudden started reporting this huge new windfall of revenue through an entire different revenue stream. This is the NBC News report with the new bedfellows, and that's talking about the right-wing groups that Epoch Times sort of got involved with their Stop the Steal coverage and stuff like that. With the new bedfellows came a new revenue stream. Falun Gong practitioners had been a reliable source of small donations in previous years, the 2020 group started to receive gifts and grants from big money conservative donors. While the Epoch Times is not required to list its donors, it reported $8.4 million in revenue from contributions and grants in 2020 and 2021. Now, some of this is, as far as we know, legit. They received tens of thousands of dollars from the National Christian Charitable Foundation, which connects anonymous donors with Christian causes, $31,000 from Donors Trust, a fund for conservative and libertarian donors. Some of this, was money coming in through, as far as we know, legit means. But we're talking tens of millions of dollars that the group was suddenly making. Because I believe they're a nonprofit technically. That the group was suddenly making. That was something like a 600. What was it? Let me find the exact amount. It was something. Okay, the nonprofit, this is from that same report, amassed a fortune, growing its revenue by a staggering 685% in 2 years, to 122 million in 2021. Again, if you were trying to make sense of this without knowing anything, without doing a deep dive, you would think, there is big money in right-wing media. Way more money in right-wing media, honestly, than doing any other sort of media in the political realm. I mean, it's a big business, right-wing media. There's a lot of big money donors, and on top of that, a lot of small money subscribers support because of basically, the feeling that they're under attack, and they try to support and do whatever they can to spend as much money and put as much money that they can into funding these endeavors and hoping that their beliefs and ideology prevails in the end. They feel like, they're losing, so they put money into this. But now we know that at least $67 million were the result of a global money laundering scheme. This is from the U.S. District Court, the Southern District of New York, Justice Department has charged the Epoch Times CFO, Weidong Guan, also known as Bill Guan, a resident of New Jersey. This is from the sealed indictment. From at least in or about 2020 through in or about May 2024, Bill Guan, the defendant, and others participated in a sprawling transnational scheme to launder at least approximately $67 million of illegally obtained funds. The money laundering scheme benefited a multinational media company headquartered in Manhattan, the media company, which I should say the DOJ does not mention Epoch Times in here, but that's who they're talking about. Now, here is the part where I'll get into the scheme in a second. But here's the part where I mentioned earlier that it seems pretty hard to believe that there's not going to be more, what's the term, shoes to fall? Is that it? I can't remember. But it seems like old Bill Guan won't be the only guy to face the music here. It would surprise me if that was the case, honestly. Because Bill Guan, he conducted this scheme alongside the Epoch Times other teams that he managed. Because again, he's the chief financial officer of Epoch Times, and he managed a number of teams. One of the teams, though, he managed was called the MMO team. And if you're wondering what the MMO team stood for, it was the Make Money Online team. The funny thing is, that is actually a term within, and I know this because I've covered these, it's been a general area of interest covering this sort of online world, and really not even just political online world, just sprawling, weird web culture. And this is sort of one of those old school internet, late 90s, those sales pages. They still exist, but they're not as popular. Those sales pages that went on forever and ever and ever in order to sell you a $97 secret to, making $1,000 a day online. That is considered that one of the terms for that world is MMO, Make Money Online. So they were really pulling in from that sort of skeevy old school online marketing, get rich quick sort of world when they named this team the MMO team, Make Money Online. This is pretty incredible. So, according to the indictment, under Guan's management, members of the MMO team and others used cryptocurrency to knowingly purchase tens of millions of dollars in, and I love how they put it, crime proceeds. My crime proceeds. My proceeds from doing crime. And basically, and I'll get into some of the details mentioned here, but basically, to summarize, Bill Guan, CFO of Epoch Times, and the Epoch Times MMO team would obtain fraudulently obtained, that's two in a row, would receive fraudulently obtained funds through cryptocurrency exchanges, and then they would launder that into numerous different bank accounts in order to hide where it was originally coming from. And that is where tens of millions of dollars that Epoch Times was counting as revenue was coming from. At least $67 million. Members of the MMO team and other scheme participants moved the crime proceeds into the media entities' accounts through tens of thousands of layered transactions, utilizing, among other things, prepaid debit cards and financial accounts that were opened using stolen identification information, including the personal identification information of U.S. residents. Some of the crime proceeds were further transferred into bank cryptocurrency accounts to Weidong Guang, a.k.a. Bill Guan, the defendant. So to give you an example, let me pull up. There was an example here. Here we go. All right, this is to me probably the most straightforward example. Beginning in or about early 2020, the MMO team at Epoch Times began purchasing tens of thousands of prepaid debit cards below cost on an unnamed cryptocurrency platform. So basically, this is how it would work. The MMO team would get into contact or form a transactory relationship with individuals or a group who had purchased prepaid debit cards from various different debit card companies. And those debit cards were loaded with funds that were obtained through fraud. So, for example, there were some of these prepaid debit cards that were loaded with money from fraudulently procured unemployment insurance benefits. So basically, someone out there filed for unemployment using stolen IDs of U.S. residents, received that money directly on prepaid debit cards, and then would sell these prepaid debit cards via these cryptocurrency exchanges. And, they probably would sell them for a lower amount, which ups the ante in terms of why you would do that. For every dollar I send, the fraudster's giving me, a dollar and change or something like that. Oh, and look, the indictment even says the crime proceeds were sold on the cryptocurrency platform to affiliates of the Epoch Times' foreign office at a discounted rate of approximately 70 to 80 cents per dollar. and in exchange for crypto. I mean, that's an even better deal than I was giving you in my example. That's, when you're talking about millions of dollars, 20 to 30 cents on the in revenue on the dollar. That's, you're raking in dough here. And so they did this, and the crypto exchange is not named on here. And I'm interested in knowing more about this. Also interested in knowing if we're talking a straight up exchange, and in some we definitely are talking about exchanges, because obviously there are sort of two crypto dynamics here. Cryptocurrency was exchanged for the fraudulently procured prepaid debit cards. Furthermore, cryptocurrency exchanges were used in order to further launder the money, to hide where it was coming from. Also, Bill Guan was paying himself out via crypto exchanges as well. But also, it would be interesting to know if there is some sort of platform that facilitates buying prepaid debit cards with crypto. Obviously that would be a form of money laundering, to do that in this way. Exchanges like that between individuals is, as far as I know, for the most part, illegal. I mean, it is the definition of money laundering. But anyway, to execute the money laundering scheme is in the indictment again. Individuals employed by or affiliated with the Epoch Times, located in the U.S. and overseas, use stolen person ID information to open accounts, including prepaid debit card accounts, cryptocurrency accounts, and bank accounts that were used to transfer the crime proceeds to the Epoch Times' bank accounts. So the Epoch Times was also, or the Epoch Times team led by Guan, was also involved in the ID theft. And then this is where Guan put a little bit of money aside for himself. From in or about April 2020 through in or about January 2021, 7 of the Epoch Times bank accounts made approximately 85 transfers totaling $16.7 million to one of Guan's bank accounts. Guan transferred approximately $5.7 million of those funds from his bank account to his cryptocurrency accounts on a secondary crypto platform, right? So there is more than one crypto platform involved here. And there's the third one. He also transferred $10.9 million to a third crypto account platform. Some of the funds were sent back to the first platform's cryptocurrency account in order to purchase more crime proceeds to continue the money laundering scheme. It's pretty amazing. These guys really do think they are pulling one over on these banks, on, the DOJ investigators, financial fraud investigators. They definitely think they're pulling one over on these people by doing, I'll send this money to that account, and then that account to this account, and then this account to that account, and then the third account to the second account. They really think that, these guys got to know, there are computer programs that are set up to easily determine this shit is not even, they could easily determine human beings trying to pull one over on them. This is not sophisticated at all, even though they think they are being sophisticated. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. So the banks they had contacted Guan multiple times, including the cryptocurrency, a few of the cryptocurrency platforms, to inquire about these exchanges. Because, like I said, they were high value transfers. There were multiple transfers going on. These banks and these cryptocurrency exchanges, they have software that can easily detect, hey, there's something afoot here. There's something screwy going on here. And it flags that behavior. Because they don't want to deal with this shit. I mean, they don't want to get in trouble for this stuff. They need to. I mean, I'm sure there are many crypto exchanges, probably overseas, that try to get away with it. I mean, we've seen that happen. There have been a number of. We did episodes on FTX, but some of these, especially the U.S.-based ones, are feeling compelled, due to the crackdowns on crypto fraud, to really not mess around. And so they had inquired. They knew something was weird. Something was going on here. And what did Guan do? Oh, hold on, this is interesting. In a 1 month span, and from September to October 2021, Guan received over 1,700 automated emails from one of the bank accounts, alerting him that at least one of the Epoch Times bank accounts was receiving a high volume of transactions per hour from the same IP address, indicating that the transactions were made from the same location, inconsistent with individual subscription payments or donations. I mean, just not smart at all. Just not sophisticated at all. And then one of the other ones, one of the cryptocurrency exchanges, contacted Guan multiple times inquiring about the purpose of the account and if Guan could provide some proof of the source of his funds. And Guan just didn't respond to those emails. And he didn't respond to another crypto platform's emails inquiring as well. This is fantastic, really. I mean, just not sophisticated whatsoever. Four different bank accounts Guan had. Personal bank accounts. This is not even talking about the bank accounts under Epoch Times, the nonprofit group's name. This is fantastic. But anyway, I had promised you a riveting, hilarious breakdown of what happens here. Obviously that sort of was the real nail in the coffin. Now, obviously, when you have multiple banks and crypto exchanges flagging your account, saying something is wrong here, this has all the indicators of fraudulent or at least suspicious activity. Sooner or later, they're going to contact law enforcement. But what happened here when Guan did respond is probably what was like the nail in the coffin here. So, when Guan did respond to the banks, the financial institutions, he explained that this money, 67 more were around, or at least I should say $67 million that was flying all around, being laundered left and right between cryptocurrency exchanges, between people fraudulently attaining funds and then putting them on prepaid debit card accounts, and then Epoch Times MMO team buying those, and the money being laundered between Epoch Times accounts and Guan's personal accounts. And then I just love the idea of it going back to the first crypto account so they could continue perpetuating the scheme. I mean, it's obvious, but to see it there is funny. But when he did respond, here's one of those responses. In 2020 and in 2021, Guan did respond to two of the banks and said the increased revenue to Epoch Times was from donations. Now, remember, I reported to you, or I should say NBC News reported, Brandy, I always forget how to pronounce her last name, Zadrozny, great reporter. Everyone should check out this piece. She reported late last year that Epoch Times was saying that a major part of this increase in revenue was due to donations. So Guan said that this money's coming from donations to those banks who are inquiring about all these funds coming in. And then in 2021, Guan apparently expressed gratitude to the employees of Epoch Times' foreign office for the significant increase in revenue. He said the MMO team was largely responsible for, the MMO team, he thanked the MMO team, I should say, for the team's contributions last year and for making a huge profit and donating all of it to our media group. But then here is the kicker. Here is the really, really funny part. Are you ready? In January 2022, Guan wrote a letter addressed to a congressional office. I guess a Congress member had inquired about something with Epoch Times. Guan stated that subscriptions constitute the major portion of Epoch Times' revenue, and that charitable donations constitute, are you ready? This is a quote from him. This is about the charitable donations. An insignificant portion of Epoch Times' overall revenue. I mean, he's telling the banks all this excess money coming in, flowing into Epoch Times is from donations. And then when a Congress member reaches out, he says, "No, we're getting it through subscribers. So the donations are nothing. The donations barely register." This is all in the indictment, by the way. So they're saying he gave false statements. So we got the charges here: conspiracy to commit money laundering, bank fraud, multiple counts of bank fraud. This is really, really interesting here. So he was arrested on Sunday morning, Guan. 61 years old. 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering, 2 counts of bank fraud. He pled not guilty. He was released on a $3 million personal recognizance bond. And his travel is restricted to parts of New York and New Jersey. I'm guessing New Jersey for where he lives, and New York is where the Epoch Times is located. This is amazing. You know, he lied to the banks multiple times. He lied to a member of Congress. And he used crypto as a major part of his money laundering scheme in order to buy tens of millions of dollars in, fiat currency on prepaid debit cards at discounted rates. Again, discounted rates in terms of like 70 to 80 cents on the dollar. That's insane. I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen on like eBay, for example, like you can buy, there's also like a platform is made specifically for this, but you can buy gift cards on discount from people who like receive them as a gift and don't want them. Like they're never going to go use them at that store. And they're like, what do I do with this? I got $100 gift card to, I don't know, let's say, Guitar Center. Why did my great aunt buy me a Guitar Center gift card? I can't play any instrument. What am I going to do with this? So you go to one of these platforms and you put your $100 gift card up for sale for like $95 or something like that. And people buy it because they get the extra, they get $5 free. And if they're actually going to use it, it's a $5 discount that they wouldn't have got otherwise. But when we're talking like that type of money, that's a big discounted rate. They were raking in the dough, man. Donations. Now, I should say, it was incredible. Is that because they're nonprofit? That revenue that they reported last, in I think it was 2021 is the last year that I see reported here. $62.7 million. Tax exempt, baby. Unbelievable. Here's this. The bank fraud counts carry a maximum sentence of 30 years in prison. The conspiracy charge holds a 20-year maximum prison sentence. And according to the DOJ, the charges against Guan do not relate to the Epoch Times' news-gathering activities. And I should further, I think this is what sort of in that realm, but I should further say it's, as of right now, it does not appear, it wouldn't surprise me if that turns out to be another aspect of this, but as of right now, it does not appear that this fraudulent activity, this money laundering, had anything to do with any sort of Trump-related endeavors. I didn't see any Trump groups involved, no MAGA groups involved, no right-wing groups involved, Republican groups involved. I mean, again, we do see that there were these right-wing groups actually donating to them. Maybe we'll find out if they were in on some other scheme or some related scheme or some unrelated scheme. But as of this indictment, no involvement in that world. This is strictly a apolitical money laundering scheme to benefit a very political organization. Whew, what a story. I saw this and I was like, of course. And like they use those funds, obviously. Like you see them everywhere now because they obviously use those funds. Like they use those funds to get out there. Like their advertising revenue, not revenue, their advertising budget, I should say. They here for example, from Brandy's NBC News report in October of last year. In the first half of 2023, the Epoch Times spent 65% more on ads than in the first 6 months of 2022. Half of its budget went to X, aka Twitter. They also did ad buys on Drudge Report, Breitbart, and Rumble. Now remember, they can't advertise on Facebook anymore, so that's why they're focusing on those platforms. The Epoch Times paid a company called Data Managing Corporation $2.7 million for advertising services in 2021. Here's an interesting part in the NBC News report from late last year. The company's listed address is a single-family home in New Jersey owned by a reporter for the Epoch Times who did not return requests for comment. I wonder if that was Guan. I mean, obviously, if you have a New York-based company, it's not out of the ordinary for you to employ people from New Jersey. That is a common commute. But that is interesting. I mean, would you list your company's address under just some random reporter? Or would it be more likely under, if you were going to do it under some individual's home, you would do it under the chief financial officer, one of the highest executives in the company, the CFO? In addition to running the business, the Epoch Times provided $30 million in grants to its own affiliates and connected organizations in 2021, including $10.4 million to Shen Yun. Whew. Interesting. Well, I think this is I think there'll be more. We'll hear more. Again, I'm not saying we're going to see more indictments or charges or anything like that, or more people. I just think there'll be more that comes in. And maybe that'll be it. That'll be part of it, I should say. But we'll find out more, I think. All right, folks. Let's go to the second half of the show. Why is my camera not completely in focus? That's weird. All right, I think I fixed it. It was in focus for the most part. It was slightly out of focus. You probably didn't notice after the compression and everything. But all right, folks, like I said earlier, I'm not going to do the promos again, but really, patreon.com/MattBinder. If you can support the show, it is crucial to me being able to do these streams, the podcasts, all the stuff I would like to do, the additional videos which are coming up, the newsletter which is coming up. Can't do it without the support of patrons. So really, if this is the time now to jump in if you want to and can afford to do so, again, that's also major. If you can't afford to do so, please don't. There's other ways to support this show. Share the content, let people know about the show, the websites where the podcast is, leave reviews on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. All that stuff helps and doesn't cost you anything. So if you can't afford to support the show, though, patreon.com/MattBinder, youtube.com/MattBinder, twitch.tv/MattBinder. With that said, give me scameconomy.com, doomedcast.com, and all right, let's go to the second half of the show where I'll take your calls. I'll read your super chats. Just give me a minute, and if you're on the live stream or you're a Patreon subscriber, there's no difference for you. Just sit back, relax, wait for this very short interstitial song to end, and I'll be right back here on this same feed. However, if you are listening to the podcast version of the show, this is where the show ends for you. And this is where I say, the free podcast version of the show, I should say. And this is where I say, I'll see you all next time, whether it's on Doomed or the Scam Economy.
Ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, voter suppression, austerity economics, education masses, rampant homophobia,
up, Matt?
Hey,
You from Jamaica?
Dave from Jamaica. How are you doing, my friend? What are we going to talk about today?
I don't think you are exactly what you claim you are. I would say you're a conservative. What makes you a liberal? I'm pro Green New Deal. Are you? Yes, really, absolutely, really. No, I have watched the show. I've seen you completely come out and get really mad at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for some of the things in the Green New Deal.
You mean like free college for black people?
We are back. We are back. Oh, I forgot to pull myself back up on the feed here. Hello, everyone. We are back. Ooh, we got people calling in already. Once again, you can call into the show via Skype. I do have, and this is coming soon, I am figuring out how to set up a regular phone line here. And hopefully it'll come through. I don't want to test it out yet. I got to test it out on my own to make sure it works. But for now, call in via Skype. Search Doomed Live on Skype. It's free to use. Calls on Skype that are username to username are completely free. So do that if you'd like to call into the show. All right, let's take these calls. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Chris, and I'm calling from Northern Virginia.
Hey, Chris from Northern Virginia. What would you... Hold on, let me actually... Because I just opened Skype. Let me make sure you hear me, but you're not hearing me as good as you can because it has the wrong mic set up. Give me 1 second so you could hear me from the good mic. You should hear me much better now. And, cool. What would you like to talk about, Chris?
Well, first I wanted to give a little anecdote from the Navy that I think I just want more people to know.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was in the Navy. This happened around 2019. I was at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard, and the Command Master Chief of Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard called for all hands meeting for all the enlisted. So everyone that was on shore duty came and like stood at attention. And he told us that, and this was a motivating speech that he was giving us. He told us that he had been to a Master Chief conference with the
he's a big Halo guy?
yeah. But he told us that at this Master Chief conference with the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy, which is the highest enlisted in the Navy, that he had been told that we would go to war in the next 5 years. And he ended the speech with something along the lines of like, I don't think he said it, but essentially like, "Hoo-yah, we're going to go blow people up." And for a good 2 months after that, I'm with people that I worked with, and these are people that are like not combatants. I mean, like some of them carry a weapon as their job, like for security and stuff, but very, very few people that I worked with had ever seen combat.
Right.
I was not a combat role. This was like we're on ships and stuff, right? Everyone is talking about torpedoes and how we're going to blow people up and missiles and hoo-yah, warheads on foreheads, all this stuff. We didn't have an enemy. He didn't tell us who we were going to war with. It was just people were excited to go out and kill. Just like not for any particular reason, not because we had been attacked, not like not even knowing who we were killing, just the idea of going out and killing people actually motivated, or at least that's what people were talking about for a good 2 months. I thought like I was in the twilight zone. Like I thought that like I knew that there were like Huya people and like weirdly patriotic people, but like I did not know like the majority of the people that I was working with were psychopaths. You
It
know what I
was the
mean?
majority, like it was the vast
It
majority.
it was everybody. Like it was like maybe not everybody. So obviously not everybody, but it
Right.
was the vast majority.
Right. I mean, I listen without a doubt. Like it's obviously um, crazy to hear it, like from
Yeah.
someone who has that experience. But I think anyone who pays attention knows that, like, yes, there are people who do legitimately join the military for truly, like, in their mind, reasons of I love my country and will defend it if it comes down to that. There are people who just join it because they need the work and living benefits that and
Yeah.
the
Financial
education
security.
benefits. Yep. And then, though, there is also a subset that, and this is the disturbing one to me, obviously, that you just mentioned, the ones that join the military because they want to be able to legally kill people.
Yeah. And the thing is, like a lot of these people, like they were, the fuck the Navy crowd. Like they were not normally patriotic. They were very much like, fuck this job, almost to the extent of fuck America, and all that. But when it came time to like talk about like blowing people up, I mean, it's like they just imagined themselves in a Michael Bay movie, and I'm just like, no, we don't like when we fire weapons, like they're bombs, like they kill hundreds of people normally, right? Like it was insane to me. Um, yeah, that's mostly what I called about. But I also want to say, Cornell West 2024, I will not vote for genocide. I
I
know
I
that a lot of
I
people don't like that, but
I
I'm
hear
sorry,
you.
but
You
I'll also
you are in a pretty safe blue state. So I think it's not
Virginia
something. Yeah, it's gonna vote Biden. It's
maybe.
not.
I
Yeah.
mean, we have a Republican governor, but yeah.
Yeah, but I don't even know when the last time Virginia didn't. When was the last time? Last
I don't know.
time
I moved here a
Virginia
few years
went.
ago, so
Right.
this will be my first presidential election voting.
Uh, 2004. 2004. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I wouldn't say it's like a perfectly blue state. I'll say that, I mean, the reason that Biden is electable is because the majority of Democrats don't care about the death of brown people. And I just cannot team up with racists. And I feel like anybody that, if you can hold in your mind that Joe Biden is zealously supporting, not just like condoning or not just like allowing, but he is for this, right? And then also say, but we have to vote for him, then you have to admit that you are supporting white supremacy because the only reason that the majority of Democrats are still going to vote for him is because of white supremacy, because they don't care about people that are not white. And you can say, I do care about people that are not white, but because so many other people don't care, I'm just gonna act like I don't care when it comes to the voting booth. That's the same thing as not caring, in my view. I mean, I'm not like trying to voter shame, but I do think that there are some things that people should be shamed for. And I do think that as much as the left talks about coalition building and collective action, why is it only when we talk about voting is it, oh, okay, that's not the time for coalition building? Hey, if you're trying to coalition build, shut up. You need to go ahead and abdicate all of the power, all of the civic power, actual formal civic power, because we have no other formal civic power in this country. Like we have protests and all that. That's not formal civic power. The only formal civic power we have is the vote, right?
right. No,
And we have to
I
abdicate that
completely,
to the institutions of genocide is crazy to me for leftists to say. But
right.
yeah.
I,
Anyway,
I completely I completely agree with a lot of what you're saying. At the same time, I also get people who are in different situations in different states where they feel like they need to because they don't have
I will say that
any
there's
good
nobody
choices.
in America that is less privileged than the people that America exploit, not just Palestinians, the Congolese,
Oh, of course, right? Yes.
yeah, like so. I mean, yes, I mean, I'm a black man in America. If you want to talk to me about how Trump is going to lock up minorities, well, Joe Biden's crime in 8 black men in prison by the time they're 25.
Oh,
So
yes.
uh,
Trust me. This was a
it's almost like
major.
certain minorities don't count.
This was a major thing on this show, and when I was on the Majority Report, that we and my what I constantly was talking about online, and like the lead up to. I mean, obviously, been something we've talked about Joe Biden's history for since he's been around, which is forever. But especially in 2019 and 2020, in the lead up to this election, to get people to know that this is who he was. But
Who he
fortunately,
is.
that didn't work. Who he is, excuse me, you're right. Yes. And, I am one of those people who is like, obviously before these past couple of, whatever it is now, 6-7 months, I was like, but he, as of now in 2024, in 2023, because that's what it was then, he is better than Trump on this and that and this and that. But then, as these months have gone by, he's not even been better than Trump on this and that or this and that. He's gone even further to the right. Yeah. So even
for
those
the mystical, yeah,
right.
he's
So
going for
even
the
those
mystical never Trump voter.
right.
That's what
So,
he's going for.
by becoming Trump though, like who are
Well,
these
that's
never
he,
who are these never
he's going
Trump
for the
voters who still
conservatives that don't want to vote for Trump, that are still going to
right.
vote for Trump because that's what conservatives do.
Right. Like, listen, like I think that when he took us out of Afghanistan, that was great. That was good. That was something
That was Trump's plan, but yeah, I mean he did
Well,
do it.
Trump didn't do it though. I don't care what your plan
Well,
is.
Trump
You got to
Trump
do it.
made the plan
He was
set for what was it 2021. So it
no,
was still
he
Trump.
he had opportunities to do it earlier, and he backed out because he was too much of a pussy. He was afraid of it coming back to bite him in the ass. Maybe he would have done it if he won and didn't have to worry about a re-election, but he could have done it since he was elected in 2016 and he didn't.
I
And this,
give Biden some credit for coming out of Afghanistan, but I don't think that had Trump not made a not treaty, but like an agreement with the Taliban, I don't think had that agreement not existed, I don't think we'd be out of Afghanistan right now.
it's possible. We'll never really know that one.
I
But
mean,
at the end of the day, that wasn't Trump. So it's amazing to me that and I've heard a lot of other leftists say this again, like 7-8 months ago, where it's like, all things considered, again, the bar extremely low, but Biden probably was the best president of and I'm 37 years old, of our lifetime. Again, bar extremely low for what he did prior to 7-8 months ago.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that.
And then he fucked it all up. He literally had, I remember when it was what was it, like a year or two into his presidency, it was the progressives in Congress who were backing up his agenda, and it was the blue dogs and the centrist Democrats who were fighting him on his agenda. And it was like, what the fuck's going on here? And again, but all it took was for a few things to happen, and now we are where we are now, where he absolutely is fucking right up there with all the shitty ones once again. He's
I also
no
want
longer...
to be clear that Biden was never like a progressive. Like he
Right,
had
no.
some progressive picks for his cabinet, but he was never a progressive.
He was never a progressive. No,
Yeah.
he was a guy who sort of had built this this sort of character around him, of him being like a blue collar guy. So he would be pretty decent, especially in recent years, on labor. He sort of still is okay on labor, but again, even the unions. You got Sean Fain out there, obviously talking about what's going on in Gaza. They're even pissed at him about what's going on. I mean, so even his labor
Yeah, they're
bona
still
fides
backing him
isn't.
though, which is
Yeah,
disappointing.
they are at the end of the day they need to vote
I
based
mean,
on labor
their job
policy.
is not Palestine, and I
Yeah,
understand
yes,
that. It's
but
still
that makes
disappointing.
me respect Sean Fain for for putting. He doesn't have to do that, put himself out there like that. But for I do wish, and I do think everyone else should do this. It is just June. Now is not yet the time. Even if you feel like you have to vote for, let's say you live in a swing state, maybe you are worried about Trump when it comes to, let's think of something where Trump is definitely worse than Joe Biden right now. I don't know, like LGBTQ rights. I get it, but you have until November to actually go in there and vote
I
for him. Now
I
is not the
appreciate
time
that.
to be. Now is not the time to be saying anything about that. Now is the time to consistently push him. Again, he doesn't get a pass. It's too late. He rubber stamped this since October. Everything that's gone on. Those tens of thousands of innocent lives are on his hands. But with that said, there are many lives that can still be saved. And he needs to do it now.
I
And
appreciate
it's
that argument.
yeah.
I just don't know how cogent it is because 6 months ago it was too close to the election to move away from Biden for most liberals and even leftists or people that claim to be leftists to think about not supporting Biden 6 months ago. And
Yeah, that's
like a
ridiculous.
year
Right.
before the election, it was too close to the
Right.
election to even think about not supporting Biden. So, I mean, obviously I don't support Biden, so I appreciate anybody who, even feigns not supporting Biden. I just think, um, I find it funny when people claim to be leftists and then support Biden. I'm like, well, or support Biden electorally, but criticize his policy with regard to Israel's occupation and genocide. Because at the end of the day, Biden is doing what they want, right? Because their whole argument is, oh, we're going to say we're uncommitted, but we're still going to support Biden. We just want him to know that we don't like what he's doing. We'll support him, but we want him to know that we don't like what he's doing. And if he doesn't stop, sometime in the ambiguous future, we might stop supporting him. We might, even though we
No,
won't.
I hear
Which
that, but
is
I
what
also
his
do
policy
think
is with not. Yeah.
I also do think there is a significant number of people who are not going to support him. Maybe they will if he actually reversed course. And again, it's already done in terms of his legacy. But there are people who probably would be like, if he actually does change, then he is better than Trump on this issue, and we don't want Trump. But that hasn't happened, obviously. That's a scenario that doesn't happen. But on what you were saying, there are definitely people who voted uncommitted who are not going to vote for him.
Yeah,
And
but
my belief is that they are not significant in number in terms of like, oh, there's going to be a huge amount of people not voting for Biden in 2024 in November, and that's going to be the reason for it's going to be no. It's going to be close no matter what. But those people who are not going to vote for him, the specific demographic combined with where they are in terms of swing states, they can be enough to push a state a different direction. And that's where I am shocked the Biden campaign isn't worrying about. Like, that's shocking to me because he can lose this by just a small number of people in a very specific place not voting for him, which can then push the entire state to Trump.
can I just say, I think one of the reasons that the administration or the campaign staff or whatever is not really pressed by the uncommitted vote is because the paragons of the uncommitted vote, the politicians and the pundits and the people in the media, they all came out and said like essentially to the Biden campaign, hey, we still support Biden. We just don't like what he's doing. So this isn't they said this isn't us saying we're not going to vote for you in November. We just don't like what you're doing. And when you tell him that, that's like saying, "Hey, I'm going to point this gun at you, but it doesn't have any bullets," right? Like it's not a threat. So why would he care? Like,
Right.
I mean,
I mean, I did
I was
see, I
very
did see some, I did see, I don't know which specific, because there was a
I
number
mean,
of
even
different uncommitted
Ilhan Omar said it.
campaigns.
Like that was the most surprising to me was Ilhan Omar, I think it was on CNN, said it. Like, this isn't us saying that we're not going to support Biden in the general election. We're still going to support Biden in the general election, but this uncommitted vote is us sending a message that we are not supportive of his actions in Palestine. Or
I don't recall exactly what she said. So I'm going to believe you
yeah,
here. That was her exact
I
words.
mean
Not
that's
saying that
not
you're not saying that you're lying
those weren't
either.
her exact words,
Right.
but that's
I
essentially
do
what she said.
I do think there's a big difference between saying that, and again, I don't know which one she said. What you said, in that, we're still going to vote for him, we still support him, and saying this is not us saying we're not going to vote for Biden, but this isn't us saying we are going to vote for him either. He needs to do something to regain our vote. There's a
I mean, she
difference.
might have said something along
Because
lines of,
you don't want to say you're out no matter what, because then
well,
they're going to write you off no matter what and not care.
I think
And if you're someone
there's
who
also
thinks that matters, then obviously you're not going to want to say, you don't want that outcome,
there's also a difference between saying, "Hey, you've lost my vote and you have to gain it back." But what most of the people said is, "You have my vote, but you're going to lose it."
Right. I
Right?
don't. Oh well, yeah. I don't. Yeah, I think it makes more sense to. Well, I think either could work, honestly, as long
Well,
as you
no,
make it
because
clear that.
when you say you have my vote, but you're going to lose it, like what more does he have to do to lose it? Like this is after he refused to give an actual red line in Rafah.
Right. Well, I
Right?
guess the I guess at the time the belief was, I will vote for you, but you got to stop this now, and if you don't, then you lose me. And he didn't stop. He's just made it
Because
continue
it's an empty
worse.
threat.
Yeah.
Because at the end of
Right.
the day, the we 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 abdicate the power of our vote to the Democrat Party, and we say that we do it because of Citizens United, and we do it because the Republicans are fascists, and we do it because of the Electoral College, and we do it because of all these other reasons, right? The Democrats aren't fighting those reasons. They have no reason to fight those reasons because we're telling them that these reasons are our motivation to vote for you. So why would they?
Right. I mean, I think the biggest issue here is that we are having, and this is a great conversation, but
Yeah.
our conversation is, it does not reflect the reality of where Joe Biden is on this. Like the conversation is that you see from a lot of Biden supporters is like, oh, the left is gonna cost Joe Biden, or like the left wants Joe Biden to lose. But the actuality of the matter is that Joe Biden is so supportive of Israel that this isn't even like a political calculation. This is 100% exactly who he is. He is a hardcore Zionist, and he is willing to lose the election to continue with exactly what he believes. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, on top of, he clearly does not view Palestinians as equal to people who of Israelis. It's just absolutely abundantly
Yeah, that's
clear.
obvious.
That's
I think it was
super
funny.
obvious.
The majority report a few weeks ago. It was on a Thursday, so you were there when you guys were talking about Christy Nome, and you guys made a joke about if Palestinians were dogs, right? Or if there were 30,000 dogs killed in Palestine or in Gaza, that the media would cover it different.
Right. Oh,
And
liberals would
uh,
be up in arms,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and I think it's something telling when somebody who claims to be a leftist can see that, hey, if 30,000 dogs were being killed, I would not be supporting Biden, and the liberals that are supporting Biden would not be supporting Biden, and I wouldn't feel held hostage by the fact that Biden is the only choice. But because they're not dogs, because they're just brown people, is Muslims, then I guess I can support Biden. Right? Like there has to be some kind of cognitive dissonance, or I don't know if that's the word, but there has to be something where you're just not connecting the dots, and I don't understand it. Um, and I don't want to understand it, to be honest, because I think it's horrific. I think
Right.
it's terrible, and I think like, to me, like, people ask me, do you want Trump to win? No, I don't want Trump to win. I want Cornel West to win. I'll vote. I'll vote for whoever, if all of the pro-Palestinian protesters and people who understand the cause got together and said Claudia de la Cruz, I would vote for Claudia de la Cruz too, right? Like, but one of the reasons that's not happening is because, like, the media atmosphere, and I'm not talking about you guys, obviously, but the actual media atmosphere isn't making that an option, and we've decided collectively that it's not an option. And the reason it's not an option is because people aren't supporting them. And people aren't supporting them because it's not an option, right? They're not electable because no one will support them. No one will support them because they're not electable. And it's, the dog eating its own tail. But
Well, part of it is, I mean, maybe not for Claudia de la Cruz, being that they are so far gone in terms of like their relevancy in
yeah, that's just,
but like, for
yeah,
example,
if it was
like the
Jill
green
Stein, I would vote for
Green
Jill Stein.
Party with Jill Stein or Cornel West. I mean, the big issue there is you just can't jump right into a presidential race. You just can't. The party needs to build up on the outside through local, statewide elections, even like congressional races, like the House races. Like, you just can't. And this has been a major thing with these parties. Again, I think Cornel West would have really, like, Cornel West is not going to win the presidency. But if Cornel West ran as a Democrat, I
don't
think
he'd have done that.
I
can tell you why he wouldn't do that. You can go back to I think it was 2012. He's been part of the Democratic Party, right? And he's been like a big member in the Democratic Party, and he pushed for them to just simply admit that the West Bank was occupied. And the Democratic Party refused to admit the West Bank was occupied. Why would he join the Democratic Party that won't even admit the West Bank is occupied?
Right. Well, what I'm saying is he would have had more of an impact if he ran in the Democratic primary, because he would have forced.
Where he wouldn't have been allowed to debate. There wouldn't have been a debate.
Well, I mean, there's no debate now either. I mean, he's completely irrelevant, just running as an independent. If he ran in the Democratic Party, they would have been compelled to cover everything he did. Like Bernie Sanders was not a national figure before 2015. He just wasn't. He was a senator.
Marianne Williamson. They didn't cover Dean Phillips. Like,
well, that's because they actually were irrelevant too. Even as people running in the Democratic Party, like let's face it. Like, well, Bernie Sanders
what's
was
the magic that Cornel West has that he doesn't have as an independent, but that he would have if he had been.
Because the combination of him being a well-known public intellectual running in the Democratic Party would have forced coverage of the race in the same way that a sitting U.S. senator who was the head of a fringe progressive movement running against Hillary Clinton as the one person running against her got media coverage.
But Hillary Clinton wasn't an incumbent, right? Like, I mean,
right, but
the entire reason that Marianne Williamson and Dean Phillips didn't get that coverage is because the media establishment, decided,
well, Marianne Williamson ran in 2020 as well against.
And I would say that she got more coverage in 2020 than she got this year.
I don't think she got that much in 2020, but also I think.
But she got more.
Well, that was because she was no one knew who she was, so it was an interesting weirdo running for president in the Democratic primary. I mean, same thing with like Andrew Yang, for example, if he ran this time around too. Like, these were completely new people who were quirky and weird and interesting, so they got that coverage.
I think you're doing a little bit of mental gymnastics to not admit that the reason the Democratic Party wasn't covered is because there was an incumbent president that decided that he was not going to run in a primary campaign.
That's definitely part of it. But if someone, like, obviously, the incumbent is just a de facto choice unless they choose not to run. I mean, I get it. It makes sense for
Which he
most.
Said he wouldn't. He said he wouldn't.
Right. To me, that's what people should be harping on, and you don't hear it enough. But I do think a primary from someone of stature would have got more attention than an independent race, an independent campaign, I should say. Again, not saying it would have, but it would have gotten more attention to Cornel West's issues that he wanted to bring up than him running as an independent.
True. The last thing I want to say, because I want to get off, so because I know other people are trying to call and all that. The last thing I want to say is that when October 7th first happened, it was reported that it was not just Hamas, but multiple groups within Gaza that participated in October 7th. And I think that narrative has gotten lost almost purposefully by Israel because it's easier to say, hey, look at these people with a charter from the 90s that want to kill, that want to destroy Israel. That's the reason they're doing it because look at their charter. When in reality, it was a resistance um, uh, action, right? Not one that is justified, but I don't think that it necessarily needs to be justified because I don't think the circumstances in which it took place was justified in to begin with. You can't. Anyway, I'm going off my point. My point is,
I
yeah,
do disagree with you because I think the fact that the folk, I mean, it's not surprising they would focus on the group that is actually the ones who are the elected government of Gaza.
you
That
like
makes sense.
2005.
Right, but still, they are the ones who are in charge of Gaza. Like that to me is
I mean, they were
a
obviously
minor
like
a minor
the
thing. A
biggest.
minor thing.
I think they were all obviously like the biggest group, but I think that the
To me,
fact
the
that
disgusting thing is when they tried to claim that they try to focus because the claim isn't wrong, but they tried to focus and sort of rewrite the scenario of Palestinian civilians being involved. Yes, Palestinian civilians did wander out. They did go into the areas to see what was going on, but I don't believe there was ever any proof that like Palestinian civilians were like armed and like shooting at unarmed Israeli civilians.
I think Israel calls Palestinian civilians and
No matter what,
combatants
yes,
whenever
right,
it's
yes,
convenient to them.
right,
Um,
right.
yeah, and I also the other thing is I think more people need to just say because I talk about this a lot with people at work and stuff, and like the thing that I stress is there's one side that's like denying access to the media, right? Even if you don't want to believe, you know, people that are on quote unquote on the side of Hamas, right? Even if you don't want to believe that, there's one side that's not at allowing access to the media. If the media narrative could prove that this is a not civil war, but a a well performed war, however you want to put it, which is an oxymoron, but however you want to put it, then they would allow the media to show that, but they
Oh,
don't.
right,
So
right. Oh no, this is one of the most brutal modern day uh, uh, war campaigns, if you could even call it that. Again, war is an unfair name for this, an inaccurate name for this I have ever seen. I mean, it is a massacre, and it is one that is being purposefully done in this way, and you can see it in the videos that are uploaded by the IDF soldiers that are there in Gaza. They are bragging about blowing up buildings that have no relevancy to whatever their operation is to even go after members of Hamas. It is just a campaign to destroy the culture in Gaza. It is a campaign to hurt as many people in Gaza as collective punishment. You can see it in the videos of them wearing the Palestinian civilian women's clothing, and just weird behavior, just really bizarre behavior. And it is very clear what is going on. Anyone who says otherwise has their head in the fucking sand or completely is okay with what they're seeing, because it is impossible. It is not a rogue IDF soldier. It is not a rogue IDF battalion. It is
no,
a institutional thing.
and it's not even a right wing government. It's the
Oh, it's not
state of
even
Israel.
it's not even just the IDF. And listen, are there people in Israel who don't agree with this? Yes, they are very small in number, and they're and I totally respect the ones who do go out there, and they do to protest against what's going on. It is very dangerous for them to do that, obviously. So I respect that immensely, and I also think that a large portion of civilians there who do agree with the war are in the same sort of boat as like the vast majority of Americans were after 9/11. They are victims of countless years of government propaganda. I don't think all of them are.
There was a Jewish Israeli anti-Zionist. I believe his name was Yeshayahu Leibowitz, who wrote in the 90s, or maybe even before that, about the occupation and coined the term Judeo-Nazism. And just pretty much his writing, to paraphrase it, is if you occupy a group of people and you grow up as a child and you're told, hey, those people can't, go on the street, those people, can't have the things that you have because reasons, and you are going to grow up to be a Nazi, and that's just the environment that apartheid creates, that Israel creates with apartheid, is that you are going to grow up to be racist. And I mean, like, if you go, another thing that's not covered enough is just general Israeli racism. Like, there are stories of, police like branding Palestinians before October 7th.
Oh, of course.
Branding
I've
Palestinians
seen them,
with the Star of David, right? Like,
I'll never that Palestinian poet who was killed in like December. The one who was getting a lot of attention online, and he felt like he was a target, and it's pretty clear that he likely was a target due to his advocacy. He said that, like, because of how Israel weaponizes the Star of David and Judaism and Jewish culture, he did not realize that this was not like a Jews against him. Like, he thought that's what it was, because all of his experience from his birth to that, the moment it changed for him, was that this is all he saw. He didn't know the outside world and what Jews outside of Israel thought of this. And then he said he will never forget his experience of finally leaving Gaza and meeting Jewish people from around the world and realizing that this is not the case. And this is a very specific thing, Zionism, a very specific Zionist thing that's going on, and it has nothing to do with Judaism or Jewish people.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to hop off one last...
It was a great call. Really great call. Thank you for calling in. Really fantastic. We ran the gamut of topics. Feel free to call in any time. Seriously. Have a great night.
You too. Cornell West 2024. Bye. Left is best.
Let's go back to the phones. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Matt. This is Gerald.
Oh, boy. We're doing this again? All right, let's do it.
We're having a rough week. The campaign's gone to shit because Donald's rotting in prison.
Oh, is this, wait, Donald Trump's affecting your campaign?
Oh, my God, Matt.
Or did I forget where we left off? For people who don't know, this is RFK Jr.'s brainworm on the phone.
This is Gerald, the Robert Kennedy's brain parasite. I'm currently in John Fetterman's brain, but I'm running as Trump's vice president.
Oh, what? Oh, right. I forgot about that. I forgot you're running with, you're on the ticket with Trump brainworm 2024. Right, I forgot about that.
Making my week any better, Matt.
I'm sorry. It's been a long week for me too. It's been, I'm exhausted. It's getting. Tell me about it. I know, right? So, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I have a call to make with Donald in a minute or two, and I was wondering if you wanted to be looped in on the phone for that.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay.
I appreciate the offer, but you know what? You know what? Let's hear from Trump. Let's do it. Why not? Call Trump. Let's hear from him.
Okay.
Oh my God, we got the phone call effects and everything.
Hello, this is Donald Trump calling from Rikers Island.
I honestly cannot get over the Donald Trump voice that this person has. I hate to break the character
I've got
here.
2 minutes on the phone. There's a lot of very scary-looking people who are
Well,
standing
not Trump.
in the line behind me.
Don't lie. We know you're not at Rikers. You never will face any sort of repercussions.
Absolutely incorrect, Matt. Holding a political prisoner. This whole country's turning into one big jail.
I just can't get over this is not Bob Carmody. Everyone thought this was, but it's not. This is a fantastic voice from the person who's doing it right now, and I don't want to let anyone know because it's pretty funny. Continue. How you doing? So what's going on Rikers, quote unquote, Trump? Let's play along with the former president just to see what he's got to say.
You are truly a rotten, despicable person, Matt, to call into question the persecution that I have been subject to. It's absolutely disgusting.
I mean, come on. We know you're not.
I tried explaining to the judge. I think we have an idea. We think that it's probably Hunter Biden who's running around in a suit. He looks exactly like me, and he's committing felonies in my name. But I tried telling the judge, and she wouldn't listen to me.
Really? That's quite the...
Things in prison haven't been... Go ahead.
That's quite the claim that... wait, so are you saying... So are you saying that...
The Biden crime family wants to distract from the fact that they have had an absolutely disastrous 4 years. A disastrous 4 years and 47 years
so let's make it clear. Let's make it clear. You just accused Hunter Biden of dressing up as you and pretending to be you and committing these crimes. So,
we think it's Hunter Biden. We think it's probably him.
So let's make it completely clear. This is for the very specific case that you were just found guilty on. Your claim is that in the mid-2000s, I believe it was like around 2006, shortly after your youngest son's birth, the birth of your youngest son with Melania, after Barron's birth, you're claiming in 2006, around that time, Hunter Biden pretended to be you back then. Had sexual relations.
I'm not
had sexual relations.
I'm not making denials about who
had
I have
sexual
or have
relations
not slept
with Stormy Daniels, and then took part in the hush money payment campaign to quiet her. That's your claim.
I'm saying that it's got Hunter Biden's fingerprints all over it.
What has his fingerprints all over?
He took $7 million from Russia with Burisma. He took $7 million.
But what does that have to do with your case?
His father tried to get him out on it. They said you've got to get rid of the prosecutor. And you've got a history of Hunter Biden doing all sorts of illicit activity, and I don't think that this is beyond him.
But what's not beyond him? What specifically are you claiming he did in relation to this specific case?
Falsifying business records to frame me for falsifying business records.
That's pretty good. All right. That's sensical somehow. That
things in prison could be going a lot worse. Things are going pretty well here. Sitting in the confinement of my prison cell, the light of Allah entered my heart and washed it clean of sin.
Did it?
And I have joined the Nation of Peace and the Muslim Brotherhood, and they are doing a very good job of keeping me safe.
Is it?
And we are going to be releasing a new campaign book. We're going to be releasing a new campaign book. It's called Letters from Rikers Island.
Really? So what's in it?
It is a series of confessionals to my Lord, confessing all of my past wrongdoing and making commitments to be a good president and to be a good man and to be a man of God. You're not giving me a lot of ammunition for this bit, Matt.
I don't know what to say to that one. I'm trying to.
I've got 30 seconds left before this call's up.
Oh, all right. You're on a time limit. I'm sorry. So how's Rikers treating you? Give me, what have you been doing?
It's absolutely
other than the
rotten.
book.
We've got to shut it down. Eric Adams is no good. We've got to get him out. We've got to shut down Rikers. All of the people who are in it should be freed.
Really?
They're calling it prison abolition. They're calling it prison abolition, and you're going to be hearing it a lot more.
I believe we will. Yeah. Tell me more about it. What you have to see the prison is completely shut down?
Absolutely. It's got to start with Rikers. It's going to go from there. We're going to look at all of the wrong convictions. You've seen Joe Biden, the absolutely disgusting racist man that he is. He's put so many people wrongfully in prison. We're going to do something about it. And I think it's going to help me a lot with the black vote. We're going to be able to get a lot done here. If you elect me president, I promise that every commissary will have the highest quality food.
Oh,
every
really?
Every commissary will be stocked with Diet Coke and Diet Dr. Pepper. We don't like Pepsi. We don't care for it.
Interesting.
And everybody else in the country agrees with me too. It's going down the shitter. One last thing. I'm running over time. I just wanted to say that Israel has hypnotized the world, and I pray that Allah awakens the people and helps them to see the wrongdoings of Israel and the United States. God bless you, Matt, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care now.
Thank you so much, Donald. Have a great night. Wow. Trump coming out against Eric Adams for the right reasons. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Forrest from California.
Hey, Forrest. How you doing? What would you like to talk about?
So I kind of have this. I kind of wanted to continue off of that other guy who was talking about Cornel West and Biden, and like I'm not voter shaming anyone. Like I do think it's kind of a choice between Trump or Biden, and we're just kind of stuck with that. But I do think Biden is the original why I left the left guy.
Oh, yeah.
So
go. Tell me more about that. Yes.
So Biden's entire history was him pretending to be sort of like the maverick, like I'm on the left, but I talk to the right, and they're actually good people, and I work with them, you know. And in a lot of ways, he does he used to do the kind of like Dave Rubin, like I just like discussion and conversation, and I just think it's really important that we have conversations. Like that was his whole shtick, like decades and decades ago. And the thing with that shtick is eventually you kind of box yourself into this cliff, which is like an inevitable part of the bit, where you eventually reach that cliff where you have to jump off and be like, actually, I'm just a Republican now because the left is unreasonable or whatever. And the thing is, Biden got rescued from that cliff by Obama, because Obama gave him the ultimate cover of being the vice president of the first black president. So he no longer had to jump off of that cliff. Like that reckoning never came for him.
Right.
And now, like, he got so sanitized, and people, the nature of the vice presidency, like, just neuters anything you want to do so much. Like, you don't get any recognition for anything you've done. Everything you've ever done in the past just kind of gets wiped away by the, like, oh, he's kind of there, and he's just kind of talking, and he's not really doing anything, and he's just the vice president.
He was never really on the left, though. Like, that's the thing.
I hear you. But But
Like
he's a
he,
Democrat. It's not.
well, that doesn't bolster your claim either.
I get that. I get that. I'm just. He's always kind of had that shtick of like, I'm just in the middle, and I'm just kind of like, I like conversation, and I like working with everybody, and
No,
like.
he was never he. I mean, Biden picked him as basically like, this is my my overture to the white blue collar Democrat type.
Oh yeah,
That
definitely.
like, yeah, like that's what he thought would like, maybe it worked. Obviously, I don't think.
Well, what I really mean is that he had a way of kind of straddling that line of being a Democrat and getting all of the benefits of being a Democrat without ever facing the consequences of his actual actions and rhetoric. Um, and he played that game for decades, and in a very similar way to someone like Joe Manchin or like Dianne Feinstein or Nancy Pelosi, like all those people who kind of know how to like portray themselves as like, I'm with you, I hear you, and then at the same time not actually acting on that.
I
Um,
mean, it's not surprising.
yeah, and obviously when you go through his record, it's just abysmal. Like the crime bill, he was literally the person who wrote the crime bill and proposed it. I mean, I don't know if he literally wrote it, but he was the person who proposed it. And he was for a long time known as the senator from the credit card companies or whatever, or the senator from MBNA, I think it was, which was a credit card company. And like his entire history was really bad, and then just got completely whitewashed by Obama. And it allowed him to straddle that line a lot more effectively, where he didn't even have to pretend anymore in a lot of ways, until just recently with the Gaza thing.
Right.
And I don't think he knows how to react now that he doesn't have that cover.
It's part of it, maybe.
Obviously, like he's also just like horrible and is really genuinely which, I mean, obviously that's terrible. Um, but I think he also doesn't know how to navigate it, you know, in a way that would like give him and the terrible project that he's advocating for or pretending to like kind of be on the waffle on. He doesn't know how to give it cover anymore because he, for the last decade, he's no longer had to kind of play that game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think maybe you're looking a little bit too into. I think it's just simply like, this is where he is. This is what he's the position he's in, and this is where he stands. I think it's not really anything sort of more than that. I think this is who he is.
No, I totally agree with that too. But
You
I
know.
just, all I'm saying is that a younger, fresher Biden would have known how to navigate the messaging part of it in a much better way.
Oh well, he was definitely He was definitely um, quicker and wittier, and I mean, if you look at him, like the stuff during the Biden years, I mean, he clearly the Biden years, the Obama years, he clearly was uh, fast talker, quick witted. Like he was on top of it. Even if you disagreed with him in terms of like the substance, he was able to get across how he felt. I mean, he even had like likable moments. Who could forget the big fucking deal thing? Um, but he's older now. He's losing it. He's not someone like a Bernie Sanders who's maintained his ability to communicate even as he's aged. Biden has without a doubt lost it. He's not. There is. Listen, I'm not one of those people who's like, he's completely gone, a complete vegetable. But he certainly has those moments, and they're going to get worse. Like if anyone who's had an older grandparent or elderly person in their life, you may have experienced people who experience very little to no cognitive decline, and then you experience people who've had a complete immediate cognitive decline, and then maybe you've experienced people who like, you know, sometimes lesser, sometimes more, but it's going. And like he's clearly in one of those two latter groups. He's losing it. Is he on top of it sometimes? Of course. Yes, he's not completely gone. He's not Dianne Feinstein. When people were telling her to retire because she was completely gone. When she didn't even know where she was, to the point where her congressional staffers were actually running the show. He's unfortunately maybe for Gaza, he's not there. But I mean, he's not the Biden of 2016 even. He's he's not the Biden of 2020 even.
Oh yeah, no. Even that Biden was much more energetic and coherent. And did you see that that clip of Biden where somebody asked him something about Gaza and he just kind of stares at them? Or no, it was about Trump, I think.
Oh, that was fine. I mean, I think that was purposeful, where he just turned back and did a huge smirk with a smile. I mean, if I was him, would I have done that knowing that people might have assumed that it's me not having words to say because I'm an old man? Yes, I wouldn't have done that. But I actually think that moment was purposeful.
Like the look in his eyes and on his face, it kind of seemed like a fugue state to me. I mean,
no, that seemed like him laughing. Like that was his like snarky, snide way of like laughing at the idea that he had anything to do with the Trumps. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, Trump committed a crime, a felony in the state of New York, and the state of New York dealt with it.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with Biden. It's not a political hit. That's ridiculous. If there was a political hit on Trump, they would have done something much bigger than document fraud, which will find him with a fine probably. He's not going to go to jail. It has no bearing on his ability to run as a presidential candidate. It's ludicrous.
Fair enough. I don't know. I watched that kind of in a vacuum. I just kind of saw it randomly, and to me, it looked like he just kind of like wasn't recognizing the question or not perceiving the question he was being asked. It just kind of like was like glassy-eyed and then just kind of walked off. That was my perception of it. I might be wrong.
No, I didn't see it as that. He has those moments, but that wasn't one of them.
Okay.
That's just my take.
For sure. That was kind of all I had. It was just a random thought that popped into my brain earlier today. One other thing I did want to mention was, did you see the Open AI, or not Open AI, Google's AI was telling people to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge?
Wait, what happened?
Yeah, so somebody posted a picture where they searched like suicide prevention techniques, and Google's AI said a popular suggestion was to jump off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I really think like a lot of people who are like just scrambling to jump on the AI bandwagon haven't really reckoned with the liability they're opening themselves up to by allowing the random word generator to just say whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I saw one where they told people to put glue, non-toxic glue in their pizza to make sure the cheese sticks.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, yeah, it's a joke. It's
it is.
the AI is a joke. The idea that it's gonna do whatever everyone's claiming. There's so many different things that these companies are claiming AI is gonna do now. It's a joke.
Have you seen? I don't know how much you're on Facebook, but have you seen the recommended AI search questions underneath memes?
No,
Uh,
I didn't see those. Maybe I did and I can't remember. But run it by me.
On Facebook now has this feature, quote unquote, where a lot of memes and Facebook posts and stuff will have recommended AI searches like in between the comment bar and the picture, and it's just random shit like based on whatever was on the post. So I saw one that was really funny that I showed my newsfeed where it was like this. It was a meme of a bear that was going around scaring people or something, and the Facebook AI thing was like, can you be scared by just a picture? And can bears scare you? Yeah. Like, this is a very helpful feature. Thank you. Most of them are a little better than that, but like they're all very generic questions, just like kind of riffing off of whatever the post or picture or whatever was.
Right. I'm sorry, you broke up for a second. Hello?
I was done talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's so fucking ridiculous, honestly.
It is.
It is clearly, and Ed Zitron is who I've spoken to a number of times on Scam Economy has brought up this in his newsletter recently. It is so clear that we're basically seeing the end of like the Silicon Valley's money machine, and they've hit the point where they've sold people on AI, and it's their like they're viewing it as like their last stand. Like this is where they need to completely clean house and just make as much money as possible off of it. Otherwise, they are screwed or whatever. Like this is their last hurrah or whatever.
I don't know about that. I think there's always another grift. There's always another.
No. I mean, obviously that, but I mean, like in terms of like their latest like thing to like sort of promote as like this is it. This is going to change everything. They've already tried that with crypto and it failed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's right. Thanks for the call, though. Great call.
Yeah.
Whoa, we just did something going on with the phones or something. All right, I'll take one more call. All right, let's take this call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, this is Jess from France.
What's your name? I'm sorry?
Jess from France.
Jeff, you said?
Before.
Jeff?
Jess.
Jess?
Yeah, Jess from France.
Oh, Jess from France. Hey, how you doing? I'm calling in from France. Thank you. What's up?
Yeah, no, I called in once before. So yeah. I wanted to talk about the transphobic law that got passed here. I was in one of the protests against it.
I did not hear about this or I cannot recall. Please tell me about it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't talk about this, and I don't know if you have another person to tell you news from France. So this was passed on 28th. We went on a march against it all over France on 26th. So it basically for minors, it is a ban for the gender affirming surgery, which does not happen. So it was just transphobia. What it does ban is puberty blockers unless you have had a consultation from a doctor 2 years beforehand. So they expect trans children to know about them being trans and having told their parents and haven't gotten a consultation 2 years before puberty, because puberty blockers are just to block the puberty. So it is just bullshit. It's just putting more barricades and will probably make trans children go through puberty first and will increase the number of suicide rates. So it's just bullshit law. And then they are also limiting the care to specialized centers. So unless you are in the area of those centers, you're screwed. The free choice of doctors that France proclaims to have, even though it's like it is a public system, so it works properly. It works good, but still it is just assholic behavior from France, and it is the indicative of France moving right wing and following US in that trend. Yeah. Any comments about this? And then I have two more topics to talk about.
No,
Sorry.
I mean, I don't even know what to say about it. I mean, it is it's horrible what we're seeing. Honestly, this like backwards, like we're going backwards here. Like, and
Yeah,
it's not just in France. Obviously, it's
yeah. And sorry.
around the world. We are going backwards here, and I don't. It makes no sense in terms of like. It's not affecting any more people than it did before. Yet that's what they're pushing and acting like. Like there
Yeah,
is not some big
don't get it.
there's not some big uptick here. I'm sorry in like in like trans people or something. It's just they are more comfortable being out and transitioning and being who they are. There's and even with that, very small numbers. Very small numbers. The idea
Yeah,
that
it
there
is.
is this big campaign that people are even wasting time to like it's not even like it's ridiculous. It is
It's like
ridiculous.
it's like proposing a ban on a cancer surgery for someone with this cancer with another cancer residing inside it and saying, "Oh, that is a human being" or something like that. It is a very rare case, and then you are legislating against a proper healthcare. It is just bullshit.
It is.
And sorry,
I
I
appreciate you being active there though and speaking out and that's awesome. Good for you. I
yeah, but
appreciate that.
this got passed, so like I'm
Yeah,
fine
there's gonna
because
be. Listen,
yeah.
don't let that like
Mm,
disengage you from it because if these things are gonna be changed, people
mm.
have to continue to fight again. There's gonna be losses. There's gonna be wins. There's
Yeah,
gonna be losses. There's how it goes. You know what I mean?
yeah, I'm trying to get more involved in France because I might want to permanently live here, as opposed to when I was in Hong Kong. So over here, I will also try to. There are some organizations that are trying to house queer children that have been kicked out by their guardians or don't have a support system. So I'm going to like I don't know French yet. I'm going to try and learn it, and then I'm going to try and volunteer for that organization. It is and I'm going trying to even at my workplace trying to do better because France has a lot of politics involved everywhere. So it helps me get involved in the community a lot more.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, and sorry, I scrolled down. I have an article from a great organization over here, Outtrans. They also ban any hormone use for trans minors, so they cannot even start HRT as children. So it's just even worse than I thought. Um,
Jeez.
Yeah. And then sorry. And I'll talk about New Caledonia that I started to talk about before, but could not complete because ran out of time. So I did you look into New Caledonia?
Oh, what? Say that again.
New Caledonia. I talked about it a bit. It is one of the territories of France in
Yes,
West.
I think I remember this conversation now. Okay, I know you said you called in, but I was trying to remember what we talked about last time.
We talked about Olympics, and yeah, this one.
Right. Okay, I remember now. Yes. I did look a little bit into it. Specifically, it's and in fact, it's been in the news. I saw recently.
Yep.
So what's been going on?
So they got the protests under uh, the state of emergency is over 6 days ago. The protests quelled down, but then the whole movement is still there. They just don't really have much of a thing to do anymore. The legislation of France trying to get the voting rights to give the voting rights to the colonizers, the French people that live there, which I am not sure if it's a good idea or not, because right now only the native people are allowed to vote. But then there are French people and Pacific Asian people that have been living there for 10 years or more. So I think they should have the right to vote somehow, but also it's the native people's land, so I don't know.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, so they proposed a law, and because of the protest, they actually said that, oh, we're going to delay the implementation of this law, but the law still has passed, so I don't know um, what the next steps are going to be. I'm hoping the ICJ at least takes on the case of the independence. Many people are against independence because they get a lot of subsidies and money from France because they are a French colony. But then they have to give the the France the nickel industries access. So
Gee.
basically, huh?
I said, "Geez."
Yeah, I'm hoping like if they have a good enough nickel industry, then they can nationalize it, and then they can get the money that they getting from France instead. They get from the nickel industry, like many of the other countries do with oil. It might surge a bit of the nickel prices, but it's good for independence, so fuck them.
It's
Yeah, okay.
no.
Sorry.
It sounds. I mean, usually you don't talk about industries like the nickel industry on the show, but it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there are a lot of other countries that like I think Pakistan had coal, and some countries in Africa have gold industry, and here and there are a lot of industries that like countries that just rely on one of the industries and then thrive on top of them. Nickel is not the most profitable, but
Right.
it is still valuable, and I think it will rise as the people try to move to green infrastructure.
Right. Right.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Third thing, it's related to the octopus. Sorry, not the. It's related to Olympics. Sorry.
Oh no, good. This is perfect. Let's end it on the Olympics thing, because
Yeah.
it's almost midnight here. I'm feeling myself getting a little bit tired.
Yeah.
But I
So
also don't
this.
want to end it on nickel industry point. I think
Okay. This
the
one thing
Olympics
you might.
will
Yeah.
spice it up a bit. What's going on? What's going on over there at the Olympics?
Okay, so for the Olympics, the Macron said because the Olympics will be held in the Sinai River, so some of the Olympics sports will be held there. So to prove that it is safe to um, swim in it. So the French PM or whatever he is, Macron said that he's going to take a swim along with the mayor of France, of Paris, and then because of the whole of they spent I think 1.5 billion dollars to clean up the waterway just for the French Olympics, so just for the Olympics, and now uh, it it seems like a huge waste of money. And because of people saying that, oh, you wasted so much public dollars on it, people are saying, oh, I'm gonna shit in the Sinai River when you're supposed to swim in it.
Jeez.
Yes, so there are boots, and people have like dummy boots. I don't know if they're real or not. That have been indicating that, oh, you have to piss in the Sinai River and the shit in the Sinai River, just so that they made us live in shit. So now they have to bathe in it. That's the quote from one of the French people.
That's pretty good. It's very French.
Yeah, and then someone made an online tool on it's okay if you don't live in Paris, it's fine. Sinai River goes in a lot of places in France. So just put in your location here, and then it's gonna tell you on which date and time you have to shit in it, so that when Macron is swimming in it, it will reach him.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just. I don't think it is a public like it is like a waterway, so I don't think it's clean enough to be Olympics there. But I'm glad that they're not building a whole water park inside just for the Olympics.
Right. Thanks for the
Yes.
no, great call. Thanks for the call. Always good to hear updates on what's going on in terms of like outside of the U.S. And this is the Olympics conversation will be one to have, especially as we get closer and closer. So I appreciate you calling in. Keep calling in. Always looking forward to talk, and great call. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right, folks. Let me read the super chats here. Oh, we got 2 patrons, just as I promoted earlier. Brian W. and Cranky Bookworm. Thank you both so much for becoming patrons. I really appreciate it. Seriously, your support makes this show possible. And when I get these new patrons, it really makes me like wanna like, obviously I do the show. I've been doing a show for over a decade. I've been doing this show for 6-7 years now. I can't remember. But like, when I get new patrons come in, it makes me want to deliver to everybody even more. So I really appreciate it. It's like, it's humbling to know that you guys give me money to do this, and I want to deliver to each and every one of you. So thanks. I really appreciate it. And once again, patreon.com/MattBinder if you can afford to do so. Let's go to... All right. Nothing over on Twitch. That's fine. Over on YouTube. Mr. Black 74 with a $2 super chat. Just giving me super chat. I appreciate it. Guamu with a super chat. Wish I had confidence in my spoken English to call and vent about the Mexican election results. I've seen several online leftists, i.e. Mike, glad that a leftist, progressive climate scientist woman won. Believe me, she's not. I do want to talk about this. You should call. Not tonight, though. There's people still trying to call in. That's it for phone calls tonight, folks. Like I said, I don't want to give people the I'm tired, and I don't like having conversations when I get tired, because I know I'm not giving you my full abilities, and that's not fair to you. I see the people trying to call in now. I will 100% take your call next week. Let me where was I? Where was I? Oh, here we go. Jay Cass with a super chat. $5 super chat. Wish DSA or Greens would break the U.S. two-party system. just like Morena in Mexico did against PRI and PAN. Flawed, but better than a two-party stranglehold. They'll get there, I think. Oh, I also want to say, we'll definitely talk about the new Mexican president on a future episode, future stream. But one very funny thing was, and I tweeted about it, she is Mexico's first woman president. She's also a Jewish woman. And like right-wingers, well, like Zionists, they were attacking her because they think she's pro-Palestinian. From what I've heard, she's like neither. She's neither or both. I have to look more into it, but she's Guamu's concerns about her not being a leftist progressive climate science woman is correct from what I've seen. While also I believe the best of the candidates won from what I've also seen. But anyway, they were attacking her because in one of her posts on Twitter, she thanked Jesus. It looked like, at least, if you are an idiot. And they were like, oh, what kind of Jewish woman thanks Jesus? She's not really Jewish. But she wasn't thanking Jesus. She was thanking her husband, Jesus. I mean, you can't write that shit. Like, or if you did, people would be like, this is too on the nose. This is ridiculous. This is fucking hilarious. It is fucking hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Oh, Annie Fitzgerald messaged me. Hey, Matt, I was hoping I could announce the launch of my campaign soon if that's cool, and I'd love to launch on your show. I totally understand that you're tired and you should definitely get your rest. I love Doomed. You also should not announce it midnight my time at the end of a 2.5 hour stream. That's not... Call in next week. As soon as I take calls, I will take your call first thing. Max people watching. Best time for rewatches. If you're going to announce the launch of your political campaign, now is not the best time to do it. Do it earlier in the show, which I will... You tell me you're going to call, and I will carve out the space for you to call, and we will talk. And that way you can get the max eyeballs on it. If I was taking more calls, I would tell you not to call in to announce it now, because I don't think this is when most people listen to the streams. I mean, there are people who do watch the whole show, even the replays. But in terms of maximum number of people, people are probably tapering off by now. Narrator with a super chat, Cornell West 2024. And Colt Dog with a 10-month membership super chat. Thank you, Colt Dog. Do you prefer patrons or YouTube memberships for those like myself who can't do both? I get more from Patreon. I know you guys get bonuses from the YouTube membership if you are a live stream viewer. You get to do these things. I appreciate either thing you do. I say do the one that you prefer to do. I will tell you I get more from Patreon just due to how they work it out in terms of the percentage they take. At the same time, I don't want you to lose out on these free super chats you get to do that are part of your membership fee. So I'm totally cool. I'm totally cool with you giving it to me either way, whatever you prefer. I mean, get the most you can out of it, right? You're already a YouTube member. Remain a YouTube member so you keep getting to get the super chats alongside with it, okay? Very kind of you to ask, though. Annie, why don't you tell people where you can, and I'll read it right now. What's your website for the campaign? tell me that while I ask everybody, who should I raid over on Twitch? Who should I raid on Twitch? Let me see who's on right now. Someone said Sasha Grey. I mean, is she on? She probably has a lot of viewers. Probably doesn't need my raid, right? And she got like 2,000 people watching her. Sasha Grey doesn't need my help. I know who Sasha Grey is. I know she's an adult, former adult star. I don't think she does adult anymore. I don't remember. Either way, I know who she is. But I would rate her. I have nothing against that, obviously. I stand with sex workers. Let's see who's on right now. I see Adrian Vixen, Jason Society. Oh, I got 2 people saying someone new. I don't think I've ever rated this person. Cinemarxism? Who's cinema? I see 3 people for Cinemarxism now. Who's Cinemarxism? Sounds good to me. I like rating streamers who I have not rated before. Let's do it. Setting it up now. All right, folks. Great show. Thank you all so much. Great calls, great super chats. Thank you to the patrons once again. Really appreciate the support. Patreon.com/Matt Binder. I'll be on the Majority Report tomorrow. I'll be on Leftist Mafia tomorrow. Yeah. Have a great night, everyone, and I will see you all either next time on Doom, next time on Scam Economy, or on the Majority Report, or on Leftist Mafia. Have a great night.